Welcome to this demo of the IT Harvest Analyst Dashboard. This is the only platform for cybersecurity industry research. Today, we're going to walk through the features in the platform. There's many of them and much too many to get through in a single demo. So we are going to focus on the Explore page, the vendor page, and news feeds. So here we are on the Explore page, and this is the core of the platform, and most users come here right away and start their searches, and they could be looking at applying many filters, which I'll walk through here. Just as a start, you can always click on Search Summary to see what view you're looking at or which vendors are in the current search. And this is with no filters applied, so there are 3,561 today at the end of August. And importantly, you see the 17 categories that we put vendors in when we first add them to the database. In addition to these 17 categories, there are over 660 subcategories. But as you can see, the governance, risk, and compliance has most vendors in it, and then data security, identity, network, and then endpoint, which were all the traditional buckets. But we've added a bucket for MSSP and security operations, and et cetera, all the way down to, we have to have a separate category for companies that haven't declared what they're doing. So we've got 3 in stealth right now. And then over on the right, we've got the countries that the vendors are in. So there are over 90 countries that have security vendors in them. So we track those there. So you can search on country. You may want to search on all the vendors in Australia. And if you're interested in a particular category, you can pick the category that those vendors are in. Or you may be more interested in, so you've got Australia selected, but you may only be interested in those that are at least established. So say have at least 15 people. So that's the head count filter. And you do a quick search on that, and you end up with a list of all those vendors, from 6clicks to Airlock to Content Keeper and Cryptsoft. So a lot of very interesting things happening in Australia. So you can check that, and then you just get the summary of how they're distributed across those categories. Australia has pretty good representation against all the categories, except maybe deception, not there. But 30 have more than 15 people in them. And then you can go on to say, well, we're also interested in those that have received at least 10 million in funding over their lifetime, and add that additional filter and immediately get to those. So when you're looking, and there's only these 6 or 7 vendors, at any point you can click through on a vendor, or you can always search on a vendor's name up here. So say you're looking at 1Password, you can search on that, pops open a window for that company's data, basically. We've got a complete description of what the company does over here on the left. We've also got the types of categories and subcategories, intermediate subcategories, all the way down to groups and subgroups that we put them in. A quick switch to the growth tab shows you their headcount growth, which for 1Password is pretty phenomenal, up to the 1,343 that they have today. There's a tab for funding, so you can drill down into each of their investment series, and you can see all the investors that put $620 million in the beginning of 2022. If you want to dig down into who those investors are, you can look at them here. You can look at the portfolios of each of these companies and just figure out everything that you want about them and who else that they've invested in, etc. So that's the vendor page. We also have a list of personnel who work at the vendor. We've got a list of the vendor's products that we've extracted from their websites. And you can look at various groupings of competitors. If you want to get all the way down to password manager, then you can get all the password manager vendors in one list. And you can always export that. Yeah, keep in mind that At any point when you're conducting a search, you can export all the data that we have on that vendor, or you can export all the contacts that we have on that vendor. And then finally, one last cool feature of the Analyst dashboard is news feeds. So we track all the news in cybersecurity from 3.5 million different sites. This is powered by an AI engine that Feedly has built, trained on our vendors. So 3,000 vendors that we're constantly watching for data on them, for funding, for M&A data, for press releases, for partnerships, regulations that may come up, leadership changes, and patents. So thank you for joining us for this quick walkthrough of the Analyst dashboard.